Hi, I'm Dr. John Young with Foundational Health Center here in Largo, Florida. And today we're going to talk about some old medicine and some new medicine. A lot of you know that I spent some time on the Thai-Cambodia border back in the 1980s working with the UN Border Relief Operation. And out there we were lucky if we had a CBC, a basic blood work. If we could get a urinalysis, once a week we could get an x-ray. Serious cases, I was basically told by the UN administrator that, John, there really is no referrals. It's either you or that's it. And it was just the basis, the basic medicine was all I had. And you know what? We didn't do too bad. Then I was in the jungle for a few years there in Africa, and we just made do with what we had. So it was really great to, in my residency, I could just see that, listen, there are so many advances in medicine. And now over the last few years, the technology is unbelievable. I mean, we can draw blood from your arm and tell you basically any type of cancer you have. Don't even need a biopsy, just drawing blood from the arm. Big surgeries years ago, now you just go in through a little laparoscopic incision in the navel. You can do all kinds of things. But sometimes I think we get so involved in all the high tech, the latest and the greatest, that you need a lot of technology and have a lot of money behind that to be able to do it. And we forget about, sometimes just the old way or some basic things can do just as well as the high-tech stuff. And I'm saying this because, excuse me, in the mail recently, I got a really nice, one of those glossy magazines for a large medical university here in Florida. And they're talking about all these great procedures they do, and it's just really high tech, and it really is cool. And they're talking about endometriosis. And for those of you that are not familiar, most women are, it's where tissue from the uterus is outside the uterus. It can be around the ovaries. They've even found it in the lungs. It can be all over the abdomen. And during the menstruational time, it can be just murder. The pain, the bleeding, it is a big, big problem for about 25% of women out there, they say. The treatments, a lot of times, are just more pain medicine. You can try some hormonal adjustments. They can also do surgery where they go in and they look for these little islands of tissue, and they can zap them with a laser, or the really high-tech stuff is using radio frequency. And it really is amazing. In this one study this group was telling me about, it worked about, I think, between 50 and 60% of the time to really relieve the symptoms and the pain and so on. And then I went and did a little bit of study because I've done this before with other patients. And the Russians have been doing this for years. They're doing it here more and more here in America. The use of ozone gas into the uterus, vagina, and it works about 92% of the time. You just introduce ozone gas into the vaginal area. It can diffuse through anything. It's at a certain concentration. And I had a woman come in a few years ago with terrible, endometriosis. I think we did 3 of those treatments, 1 a week for 3 weeks. Never had a problem since. Because it can diffuse through the whole abdominal cavity, through the uterus, through the lining and all of that, everywhere. And it's not dangerous. You're not breathing it. You're not pushing it into the bloodstream. It just diffuses. and its effectiveness is about 92% in some of these studies. I think a lot of times people aren't interested in it because it's not high tech. Ozone gas is very cheap. You can make it. You just have to know the concentrations you're using. And what I'm finding is if there's no money in it, it usually doesn't exist. So this is a treatment that really is dirt cheap, has even a better success rate than this high tech stuff. And it's just, I wanted to just share that with the audience, is this, that sometimes the latest and greatest may not always be the best. So do your homework when you're looking at some of these things. A lot of them are just great, life-saving, but some of them, there may be some other ways of doing it, and some of the old ways of doing it may not be too bad.